This video is to fix a simple problem with a simple solution, and that would be the answer to this question of where can I actually go to find Phonk live shows. Before I begin, my name's Danny. You can find me on Instagram, YouTube, and other social media and music platforms. I was given the name Phonk Professor thanks to a homie of mine, Chris, which I feel is a very fitting name for myself, especially for how many names and pieces of info that I'm actually going to be talking about in this video, and knowing a little too much about not just this genre but also this entire community. But as I mentioned earlier, don't forget to like and follow on Instagram along with subscribing on YouTube. Now let's actually get into the nitty-gritty of each account, each label, and each brand specifically that helps out with putting these live shows on. I want to preface my main criteria along with starting with honorable mentions at the beginning of this video, so that not only this video is as short as it possibly can, but also that people can find which account they need to go to depending on their specific area, their specific region, or depending where they actually are in the world. The only criteria is to be outside of honorable mentions would have to be the following two things. The first criteria of mine would have to be hosting more than one show within the last calendar year, this year in this video obviously being recorded in 2026. And the second criteria would have to be consistent branding. Now what does that actually mean? Consistent branding to me, I would say something that is either physical or digital, which can mean different animations, different types of art that people drop on their accounts, merchandise, and advertising shows for other artists that have also been on previous lineups for that specific label. Honorable mentions for this video include Fright Night, located in the Midwest of America, that hosts Halloween events every year for the last couple of years. The Function events, which is probably the youngest on this actual list, also in the Midwest of America. Beat Circuit, which is actually in Houston, Texas, but leans more towards other genres and artists outside of the funk community, along with Bay Area Funk, which is a older name that is located on the west coast of America specifically. However, to my knowledge, they haven't posted in the last 3 to 4 years at the time of recording this specific video. All great people and great names to see shows, to listen to funk music nonetheless. Still make sure to go check those names out, specifically Fright Night and the Function events. Now let's get to the bigger names. I'm going to break this into two different segments. The first being the United States to Europe, and then we're going to section off to the second segment being from Europe to the United States. And again, if you are tagged on this video or requested as a collaborator, I think the best course of action would be reposting this specific video and accepting that request so that more names can know about these specific labels and accounts, so that people in the future can also pinpoint you to this specific video for information to make it a lot easier for people in the future. Now with that being said, let's actually get started. So starting off in the United States, we have Infinite.wav. Names that help that label include Ponsuda, Daddy Dirty, Bright Ideas, Trippy Man, DJ Kurz, along with names behind the scenes being people such as Sierra and Fuller, also known as Cole, shout out to him. Prominently focused in the region of Texas, specifically Dallas, they have put on multiple events for the past couple of years, starting off hosting their own variant of Night of the Trill in the earliest of posts on their actual Instagram account, all the way to hosting major names such as Ryan Celsius, as well as entire takeovers from Funk Around and Find Out, as well as Holy Mob, who will actually get into one of those names later in this video. If you're willing to make the trip down to Dallas, I would recommend them if you're in that area as well. For Europe, Night of the Trill, whom is the elder of all of these events or actual labels and collectives, with being founded according to Instagram in 2015. Names that help out with organizing these events and drops include Alpha Mob, Funky Cool, and Lord Seshimaru. Nicknamed the City of Funk, as well as having Hamfist residents, Hamfist being a mix of the words in cities Memphis and Hamburg, which is a major city in Germany. Recently hosting Infinite.wav member Daddy Dirty, so be on the lookout for them. Next, let's jump into another Europe label and end with the final name in the United States, Phonkerie. In terms of volume for both merchandise, physical copies, tapes, they basically have everything that you dream of a label being in this actual community. And another one of those things that they specialize in would be throwing events in Paris, as well as also contributing to other countries in Europe to host and support creators and artists. It took me a while to actually just count the amount of names that they have worked with in the past. However, the prominent names that they have actually worked with in the past, along with consistent drops and merch, those being Rob Gikma and Lil Rocket Man for their Bombs Over Paris trilogy, Got No Time, Sudier, and Roland Jones, along with again being their own label to buy and sell physical copies of cassettes, apparel, and other accessories. And last but certainly not least, the heavyweight, while late in the game but better late than never, that being Phonk Round and Find Out. While they were not late in the sense of starting, they have been able to remain not just relevant, but also consistent over the many years of throwing live events in the United States. Hosting most of their events in the Denver area, they are also known for hosting events all across the country. One of those examples being the End of Underground tour by Ryan Celsius, happening back in 2023, with multiple stops in cities such as Seattle, Portland, Dallas, Buffalo, Baltimore, and so many more. They host members such as Backwind, Von Storm, and many more from their roster, along with the normal trio of the founders Hoodie Mane Imperium and Wasabi Jackson, as well as OG Phonk heavyweight mentioned earlier, Backwind, being, from my knowledge, in their actual interview that you can actually find on my second channel, the secret fourth member and founder of Phonk Round and Find Out, along with many other talented names that you can find on the roster that is on their Instagram account. So if you want your city to be featured on a feature show or a specific artist, tag one of those artists as well as your city you wish these guys should come to in the future. I've said this before and I'll say it again in this video, and this was the entire reason for me to actually make this video. It doesn't matter how big or small your following is, it doesn't matter where you're actually at in the world, it's never a matter of who's listening, but the statement, you never know who's listening.